Happy Motivation Monday. This is Jessica Prater with J. Prater Consulting, bringing you a Motivational Monday snippet. Our guest today is Tiffany Thomas. Tiffany is a former math teacher and stay-at-home mom who loves finding a great deal. She and her husband, who is an engineer, work together on the Crazy Shopping Cart. Love the name, by the way. They enjoy spending time with their family, geeking out over sci-fi together, and saving money. Guys, this is a great conversation because we're going to dive into some taboo topics. We're going to talk about how your job can save your sanity when you're a mom. We're also going to talk about the idea of using your job as an outlet to really find and fulfill your purpose. And we're also going to talk about that idea of looking at your job as an opportunity to really step outside of yourself and meet your goals. I'm so excited to have Tiffany here. Hold on for the conversation. This one's a great one. All right. So good morning, Tiffany. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for being with us here for Motivation Monday today.
I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So the question that I start off the conversation with for everyone, if you and I were meeting at a coffee shop, what would you be ordering for yourself this morning?
Hot chocolate.
Ooh, good call. Now, do you like dark hot chocolate, regular hot chocolate, white hot chocolate? Any specifics on that?
So I'm Mormon and we don't drink coffee at all.
Very cool.
But no, I like dark hot chocolate, and Starbucks does this amazing thing with their hot chocolate, and you put a squirt of raspberry into it and it's delicious, and it's heaven in a cup. It's awesome. So if you ever break away from coffee, you should try the raspberry hot chocolate at Starbucks.
That sounds fantastic. My husband is an avid hot chocolate drinker, so I will make sure to share that information with him.
So good. It's so good.
Well, very cool. Well, we'll go ahead and dive into the meat of our conversation. So I've been doing these web series, having this conversation with entrepreneurs, with individual contributors, with high potentials. And I've been asking the question, what motivates you? So when I pose that question for you, what comes up?
My sanity motivates me.
Okay.
So I originally started blogging because I just had my second child. I have Crohn's disease, and I always get kind of sick after having my children. And my son was like the worst sleeper ever, and he would only sleep if he was laying in bed right next to me. Like I couldn't even get off the bed to pee. And so between pumping and him sleeping and me sleeping and everything, I think I stayed in my bed like 12 hours a day for about 8 months. And it was just awful. So you can only watch so much TV. You can only read so many books. And so I had just gotten introduced to couponing about a year before from a friend of mine who was this big, avid, crazy, extreme couponer. And so I was like making up lists for my husband to go to the grocery store and use these coupons and stuff. And I was like, well, if I'm doing that, I might as well stick it on a blog. And so I started blogging, and it got bigger than I thought it was going to be. It just kind of took off. And now I homeschool. My daughter's now 5, my son is 2. And I homeschool the kids, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. I was a math teacher before I was a stay-at-home mom. Before I did that, I was very involved in education and the government. So like I contracted with NASA on education, and I worked for a congressman for about 10 months and things like that. So I loved being a stay-at-home mom, but I love having, my degree is math. And so I love having quantitative data and to-do lists. And I can't do that as a parent. I can't measure my growth. I can't be like, I want to be I can. I say, I want to be a more patient mom. So I'm only going to yell at my kids 5 times today. Like, you just can't do that. Yeah. So my success as a person, I just struggle a little bit. So I continue. My motivation is my sanity, even with I'm enjoying the income that I make and everything. But even when it's the worst month ever and there's like income tanks and everything, maybe I shouldn't do it anymore. And then I think, but then I'm just a mom, which is wonderful, but my personality struggles with not having something concrete that I can feel successful with.
I
So
love that. And I think you have pinpointed something that some of us moms that work feel but don't always express. And I think it's
right,
funny that you've brought this up because, you know, I myself connect with that very deeply.
yeah,
I love my son. I love
yeah,
working part-time so that I could be home with him and take him to the library and take him to the park.
right,
But I also need that piece in my life where I work. And I was just having a conversation with a friend at church last night that I said, I love my child,
right,
but I need my work. And so
right.
talk to me a little bit more. I may go a little bit deeper than you were
That's
ready to go
right.
today,
Yeah. No, that's fine.
but why do you think there's a stigma around saying that? Because there is, I think there's sometimes we're afraid to say, I love
Right,
my kids and I would give them the world, but I still need my job.
right. I
What's your
think that
thoughts on that?
I think there's two reasons. I think that one, you're afraid to say it because you don't want to offend someone who is just the stay-at-home mom. I admire those women that are so like they craft, and that's part of my problem is I don't craft, I don't cook very well, I don't enjoy it. And so the things that I I don't enjoy are the things that they enjoy. And sometimes, and so they do. So you're almost afraid to say that because you don't want to offend someone else that is choosing to stay at home with their kids, that isn't working and they're finding fulfillment in it. And you don't want to make them feel like, well, am I less because I don't need something else to be fulfilled? Um, and then the other way around is you don't want to say, the second reason is you don't want to say it because you almost feel embarrassed. Like sometimes I feel guilty that like, do I not love my kids as much as those other moms? Would I be more fulfilled if I loved my kids more? And so I think that the world takes all kinds. And I'm a deeply religious person, and so I think that God has given us our different strengths to complement each other. And so my need to work from home is no reflection on a mom who is totally fulfilled not working from home. It like we think that it should, but it doesn't. Like that because God has given her strengths and we need all kinds. And that doesn't make her any less influential or me any less influential on our children, on the world around us. It's just different roles that God has given us our different strengths and talents for.
I love that. Most definitely. And you said that so eloquently.
Oh,
I,
well, thank you.
if you don't mind me sharing, two of
No,
my very best friends are full-time stay-at-home moms. Um,
yeah.
one of them is just getting started back into a part-time role, but has stayed home with her son for 2 years. And the other one is still at home full-time. And one of the most freeing things that they told me, we were out for a walk one day, the three of us, and we were talking, and they'll know exactly who they are when I have this video air, but they said, I am so proud of you because you have found what makes you happy.
Yeah,
And to hear that from a mom that was staying home full time, because I had a lot of the same feelings like,
right,
well, am I saying that I'm judgmental of them because I need to find fulfillment in my work?
right,
But what's beautiful to anyone that's listening to this out here, whether you're a mom or not a mom, whether you're a dad, not a dad, wherever you are on your life spectrum, find your happiness, find what motivates you. And that's what is beautiful about what you said. It is different for every person.
right,
And don't feel like what motivates you should make you shameful, because it
right,
is going to be different for every single person, no matter what stage of life that you're in. So
right,
absolutely, so
right.
eloquently that you
Thank
put
you.
that. So we had a conversation, Tiffany, before we jumped on the phone.
Mhm.
You were kind of catapulted into the entrepreneurial space, not only because of
Yes.
parenthood, but also because of some medical reasons as well. So talk to us a little bit about the flexibility that entrepreneurship allows you to have now, and kind of work with in a best way for your life right
Mhm.
now.
Oh, it's great. Like, so I got my degree in math education and I taught for several years. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease about 8 years ago, right at the very beginning of teaching. And at first I was doing okay, but then after about a year and a half, I kind of spiraled down with my health. It just, so my husband and I have been married for 6.5 years. And in that 6.5 years, I have been admitted to the hospital over 35 times. So not just, that's not like ER visit and come home. That's like go to the ER and they decide I'm sick enough to have to stay. And um, so my ability to teach went out the way. You can't teach when you have when you can't be in the classroom. And so and any other kind of job, unfortunately, requires other people depending on you. And that is really difficult to do when you have zero control over your circumstances. I mean, I take my medicines. I get infusions similar to chemotherapy every 6 weeks, and I've been doing that for 5 years. So I stay on top of my health. I try to eat the foods that I'm supposed to. But really, at the end of the day, if I'm going to flare, I'm going to flare, and there's not much I can do. And so not having people rely on me removes the guilt that I feel of letting someone down. I always felt so guilty being out for 2 weeks and having my students have us up because I knew how hard that was. And so being able to be my own boss, and it goes with me because I'm not, at least for me as a blogger, I can take my laptop with me to the hospital. So that's usually what I do. And the ER doctors are like, oh my gosh, this lab work, you're really sick. And here you are on your laptop. I'm like, but I can do it. And so I can take my laptop to the hospital with me. Or last week I ended up in the ER because I had a migraine that just wouldn't go away no matter what meds I took. And so the next day I could sleep in, and that happens so frequently. I probably land in the ER at least once a month. And so that flexibility of I don't have to call in a sick day. I can put my kids in front of the TV and I can choose if I'm going to work that day or not. And it's okay if I don't. And that it might affect my income a little bit, but at the end of the day, my job isn't in jeopardy because of my health.
Yeah, Tiffany, and I could talk to you all day. We actually talked a few minutes before we recorded, and I said, oh, this is going to be really hard to keep it to 10 minutes. You are an absolutely magnetic personality. I love the message that you send. And I know everybody that watches this video will absolutely want to connect with you. So what is the best way that they can connect with you via the internet?
Okay, so sending me an email. So my website, my blog is thecrazyshoppingcart.com. And my email is just thecrazyshoppingcart@gmail.com. So if you can't remember that, just Google Crazy Shopping Cart and you'll find me. So I do best with email. I get lost in Facebook. I think I have an old soul and I struggle with technology. So email works best. I haven't figured out Facebook Messenger quite yet still. So but yeah, and anybody is welcome to reach out. Like you and I were talking about before this, I'm an open book and I'll answer pretty much any question that anybody has, or if anybody is struggling with anything, because I know that when you first get sick and you're a mom and you're trying to work or whatever it is, it's a life-changing experience. And so I want to be there for people because there were people that were there for me when I first got sick. And so, yeah, anybody who's watching this, like seriously, please feel free to reach out if you feel that need.
Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for your really encouraging words. Thank you so much for your wonderful message and what you're doing out in the world. And I appreciate you spending time with us today for Motivation Monday.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun. Thank you.